Good evening, everyone. This is Anthony, Wall Street Trader. It's 8:42 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Monday, September 20th, 2021. This is not financial advice. The video is intended for educational purposes only. Click the subscribe and bell if you want to be notified. Click the thumbs up and share the video so people can understand Nucypher and the Web 3.0 proposition it provides, as well as all the price action. Intraday updates are on the Twitter link below the video. Click on that if you want to see any intraday updates from me. Now, let's take a look at Nucypher. We are definitely on a bit of a challenge here, and not because of Nucypher, not because of Nucypher at all. We are in a bit of a challenge because of the overall equity market bleeding into Bitcoin, bleeding into altcoin, bleeding into the everything coin. So let's take a step back. First and foremost, big problems in China with Evergrande, clearly concerning for the world. The second more major thing is the Fed's coming out this week talking about tapering, which nobody in the market likes. That definitely is not a good sign for the market, at least in the short term. And by short term, I mean 2 weeks, and we're going to talk about how I came up with that timeline. But in the meantime, right now, let's just take a look at Nucypher, US dollar, because that's what we're here to talk about. Now, number one, I think we could start to see another support right over here. We're kind of hitting the top of this, what was once resistance, now support, certainly looking like we tucked below it and then came back up. We could be starting to do the creepy walk down this line right now, which seems to be what might be happening here. Now, in the meantime, what we don't want to see is another drop here. Now, what's the other drop? Well, there's a couple of spots this thing could drop to if it does start to drop. Now, one of those spots is right over here. All right, we have a fairly reasonable suspicion that this line does hold, was resistance, a bit of support, resistance again, support again. So look, it could come back down to 25 cents, but if it goes below 25 cents, which is this long horizontal line here, we could be looking at the next line of support, which is this longer term diagonal line. And again, folks, this is not something I expect that would happen, but there are macro events that we don't cover on these videos that do happen, which is why I say this is not financial advice. Now, if we do drop below this line, we could be headed for a number that's more like 23 cents. So, look, we've been down the bowels of this hell before. We've been down as low as 17 cents. If you remember on that video, I basically said, bang my head to buy. And that was the point where it was like clearly a great buying opportunity. So look, you may get that opportunity again. I don't think we're going to get it that low, but I think we could potentially be getting it at 23 cents again. So keep your eye on that. In the meantime, let's look over at the Nucypher to Bitcoin pair. Clearly a lot of volatility here, and when it went down hard as soon as it broke this channel. So very clear to me that these were the right lines drawn, such that if you break it, you can kind of rush through it pretty quickly. But unfortunately, we actually broke it, so that's kind of the sad part. But right now, where's the next stop? Well, the next stop could be down here. What's down here? 600. So we're at 654. It's around a 10% drop. 10% drop from Nucypher US dollar would put us down into the 23, 24 range anyway. Kind of very consistent with my view of the downside for Nucypher US dollar. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin US dollar. Clearly, I mean, we've rebounded fairly nicely in a short period of time back to 41,854, but we were just down here to almost 40,000. Now, there's a couple of things I want to point out here. Number one, this price action here, from here to here, right? These two horizontal lines are very similar from the price action from here in May to here. But we're about midway point, right? So you see how we went from up here all the way down to the bottom, right? So I kind of feel like we're about midway through this cycle of hell before we start going back up again. And the reason I say that is this from here to here, it was a long time. This is a much longer term. This is from May 18th to June 23rd. So it was almost a little over a month. Well, the time that we went down here was from September 7th to where are we now, September 21st. So it's almost like a couple of weeks. So I feel like we have probably a couple of weeks ahead, and it's consistent with all the macro insanity going on with the stock market and the Fed and them coming out to talk about stuff. So I expect this to be a pretty choppy period of time, very volatile. So expect and anticipate that that's the way it's going to be. Once you have your head around that, you'll be in better place. So think about the long term. If you're not a long-term investor, this is probably not the kind of thing you should be playing around with. But I am a long-term investor. I think Nucypher is great. But let's take a look at Bitcoin dominance, because I think that's another part of the story that needs to be told. Now, the crypto market as a whole shrunk today in market value, right? And as a result, we started to see Bitcoin continue going up in terms of its dominance, not price, dominance, which means that there was a lot of fear. So when people were selling off Bitcoin, they were selling off the altcoin even more, or they were trading their altcoins and moving it into Bitcoin. One way or the other, it ends up the same game. So here's the situation. The idea here is that we will probably see some strengthening around Bitcoin in terms of its dominance, because it's kind of like gold, but not exactly like gold, where gold typically appreciates in price action like today. But Bitcoin itself is kind of risky, but it's like gold in the sense that it can be a very dominant force in terms of regaining market share when situations like this at a macro level do happen. So keep that in mind. Like, you're not going to see a lot of, I don't think you're going to see a lot of calm for the next 2 weeks. Expect the worst, and the worst, in my opinion, and again, I'm not a financial advisor, but the worst case scenario could be that we come down to the 23 cent range. Man, I might actually wind up buying more. I mean, I'm already 125% in, but anyway, that's all I've got for now, but everyone be safe. All righty, take care.